All right, and we are back. We have got Week 14 coverage here in the NFL. Bears coverage of the previous game that we had over Thanksgiving against the Detroit Lions. Look ahead, we never really get to the look ahead, so we're mostly just going to be recapping because we have the Lions game as well as a substantial amount of news outside of the Lions game or following the Lions game. Luke's the only person that has notes here. The game was quite a while ago, so we're going to kick it straight to him and let him get into it.
Perfect. So, obviously big news. Eberflus has been fired, thank goodness.
Horribly. The handling of that was just a joke.
Yeah. So you mentioned notes. I have a bullet point here that says Eberflus, possible sleeper cell. I don't know. But he certainly did not have the best interest of this team at heart in the final moments of that game the other day.
You're saying he's like a rogue agent?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
For a different team, I think.
We did lose to Indianapolis.
Perhaps Russia.
Yeah.
Or Hamas, perhaps. I don't know.
Oh, no.
But
we're going to get demonetized.
First Hamas drop on the podcast, a minute and 20 in.
Thank God has been relieved of his duties because that was pathetic. Specifically the play, I'd seen some blame being placed not only on Eberflus but on Caleb's shoulders as well, due to how that sequence kind of played out. And obviously it's been a recurring theme that late in these games that are close, it seems like everything is the prerequisite to all of these final moments is Caleb taking a sack on 3rd or 4th down, right?
That does hurt.
And that is a problem.
That does hurt.
Everybody,
it is detrimental.
I think can accept and acknowledge that point. But it is the head coach's job to manage the game and the team. You have to call a timeout. There were 32 seconds left on the clock. If you see that Caleb's trying to get them organized for a play and more than 5 seconds are off the clock, take the fucking timeout. Take it and regroup. He's a rookie. Take a moment to organize your thoughts, organize your team, and make a real effort at extending that game and possibly winning it. Can't do that. He deserved to be fired weeks ago. This is obviously something that was just inexcusable. Other notes for the game.
Did he do it on purpose? Did he do it on purpose?
Also,
again, possible sleeper cell.
Not because he's a possible sleeper cell, but because he saw the writing on the wall. He was like, I need to give this organization and the city of Chicago a reason to fire my ass.
Wow. That'd be very big of him.
Yeah. That's
maybe. I hadn't really thought about that. Maybe it's just the easy way out. I'm just okay, I'm sick of this. I don't want to be here anymore.
There's reports of him losing the locker room. I think we'll talk about that later. But what was your second point there, Luke?
So, I have a few more bullet points here. No run defense, obviously. I think David Montgomery, good for him. He escaped the pits of hell to a real organization and team that is just operating at such a high level. It was great to see him really put it to the Bears and have a great game, as well as Jahmyr Gibbs. They were really getting a lot of chunk runs, especially in the first half. It seemed like 10 yards, 12 yards, 8, 7. It was just gashing us constantly in the first half specifically. We gave the Lions a short field at the end of the first half. When we went for it on 4th down, couldn't complete the pass. Lions take it down to the goal line. We got saved by a turnover. Just another example of that was an opportunity for us to flip the script at the end of the half and the beginning of the half, getting the ball back at the beginning of the second half. Couldn't capitalize on it. Again, in my opinion, more of a reflection of the leadership on the team. Final note I have, positive note, and I'm sure lots of people have seen this. Most pass yards, most touchdowns, most consecutive passes without an interception, all records for the Bears and for Caleb this year. I think he is continuing to progress. I've liked what he's done. Obviously, there's issues with him not making the best decisions at the end of games, but he, I think, is proving himself worthy of being that top pick this year, especially with maybe some of the regression we've seen from the Commanders in the last couple of weeks. Jaden Daniels not kind of seeming as far ahead as Caleb maybe 5-6 weeks ago. I think that gap has maybe closed a little bit in my eyes, at least.
Bo Nix.
And then Bo Nix comes out of nowhere and just.
And then Bo Nix, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of these rookie quarterbacks are playing well this year, but I've liked what I've seen out of Caleb. And I think that he's still, in my opinion, is the best, the highest ceiling of these guys. Those are my notes. Again, I'm so happy that Eberflus is gone. We can get into potential candidates once you guys have shared your thoughts on the game.
I mean, with all that being said, especially pumping Caleb's tires at the end, we are on a 6-game losing streak right now.
Yep.
So, I mean, I do agree that we've seen a ton of progression, but the fact still remains that
our defense has been playing like ass.
Defense has been
really.
Playing like ass.
He had 3 touchdowns that game against the Lions team, but like he hasn't had any turnovers. He's throwing touchdowns. He's, I love him to like not just lay an egg every a couple halves this year and then just play really good the next half. I'd like to see a little bit more consistency, but like what Luke was saying with taking the sack, I would love him to throw the ball away, but I've seen enough football this year that kind of happens a lot. Quarterbacks get sacked, into the games with a lot of pressure coming at them.
Isn't that an automatic timeout for a lot of coaches? Isn't that what we were seeing?
I mean,
I felt like we heard that on a number of occasions.
Once that play started going sideways, like everybody except for Eberflus was like, "What's going on? What's going on? What are we doing? The time."
Yeah, Tony Romo legitimately goes, as they snap the ball with 5 seconds left, Tony Romo just goes, "Oh no, Jim." And it's just like, we didn't even know what was going to happen, but he and the rest of us already knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like we didn't need to see the end result. We knew we had already lost it.
Yeah.
By squandering away all of that time and just what an idiot. I'm sorry he's gone.
But I have no real point there. I just was, making some observations.
Here's also an observation, Tom, because I don't want to put any blame at all on Caleb here. I think absolutely we should have called the timeout. So I want to preface this statement with all of that. But all of that being said, Caleb did dick around in the pocket in the shotgun, just messing around with his, rolling up his sleeves or whatever.
He did. Okay, this is what
and then he threw a pass. And then he threw a pass.
This is what he said.
Like, even without that pass, we lose the game.
I agree. But this is what he was saying in his press conference, that I think he said he didn't want to take that timeout because he took one earlier in the game and he didn't feel comfortable taking that timeout, the second timeout, which, I guess maybe that is a head coach. It is a head coach, ultimately. Once the QB is decided he's not going to take that timeout, the head coach steps in. Okay, behind that, I think he said once that timeout wasn't happening, and on the other side, you saw 2 receivers. They got messed up. They got switched. One was off the line. One was on the line. And then they had to switch. That took like 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Then by that time, it was like 15 seconds. And no one was taking a timeout. So Caleb said he switched this play to an end of game play, like Hail Mary type shit.
Well, and he threw the ball 5 yards short.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying. He just said he was going to throw it up to Rome Dunze and see what he could do with it.
He overthrew Rome by 5 yards too. So
yeah, I mean, it was chaotic, all of it. Like, it wasn't good, but I'm just saying that's what he was thinking. And I just think I don't know. It just didn't.
When he got sacked, we could have called the timeout. Like that should have happened. Like, that's it. I was just saying, like, as a result of that, you kind of have to play the hand that you're dealt. I don't know. It was shitty. I
mean, realistically, I think it was like 4th and 13 or something like that. He could have let 10 seconds run off, let it run down to 20 seconds, And there's still an off chance that if you even call the timeout then, you could still complete a pass in the middle of the field, get a first down without scoring a touchdown.
I think it's third down.
Offense up and and spike the ball. Like he had multiple opportunities within that time span to save it. And it was just like each checkpoint, it was like he's just detonating my chances at enjoying my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
It's like,
you know what was nice though? I was already so numb to all the other losses. Like I was sitting there and I was talking to my dad about it. I was like,
you said that last week too.
I know. And it was just like, it is. I was like, I expected to lose that game because why not lose in this type of fashion? You know?
Typical Bears.
Jesse, did you guys have any like specific stuff that you'd seen in the like I said, I think we're going to talk a little bit more on potential replacements for Eberflus going into the offseason, but did you guys have any other, specific things you'd seen in the game, positive, negative, in relation to just overall play?
I liked how we fought.
He asked me and Morgo. You
no
already.
No one was saying anything.
I was about to.
You were like,
I honestly, I was okay. I was okay with how.
I don't remember Thanksgiving.
The defense played.
Dramatic pause. Come on, Tom.
Yeah, all right.
The defense played well. I mean, they held this team to 23 points that we know can put up 50.
Yeah. Held with field goals. I think they had 4 attempted field goals.
Yeah. Offensively, second half was awesome. First half, you can't put up a goose egg against this team in the first half and then expect to claw your way out of it. We gave ourselves a pretty good shot at that, but typical Bears. Like we expected that they were going to squander that opportunity at the end of the game through coaching or through some type of game management, clock management. That's exactly what happened. And Flus is gone, and I think that was kind of, I knew that was going to be. I think I sent you guys a meme. It was like nail in the coffin, like right after the game, right? Like that was it. I think most people knew that, and sure enough, Black Friday didn't turn out so good for Flus, but he probably, he's doing all right. He's got some money in the bank. Silver lining: last 3 games, 3 divisional opponents combined. They lost those 3 games by 7 points. 1 point to the Packers, 3 points to the Vikings, 3 points to the Lions. So even with some missed opportunities by the coaching staff, even
3 divisional games by 7 points cumulative in a row, that is an NFL record. That's never happened before. There's no way. 3 in division games by 1, 3, and 3. There's no way.
Division games are usually tight. We talk about it all the time.
That is a good point. That is, yeah. All right.
But
it's still sad. Just incredibly sad.
Having, in each of those games, it's not like the Bears put together a complete game of football throughout the entire 4 quarters. So to be able to hang around in those games, make them close towards the end, with some of the challenges that they were facing with having a rookie quarterback, banged up defense, a coach that's actively trying to get them to lose, is pretty impressive. And it just is so Bears that Eberflus is gone now. Thomas Brown's going to take over. This is your traditional shot in the arm type move that Luke talks about. And we're going into a banged up San Francisco team this week in San Francisco that I think we have a good chance to win this game, frankly. So it's just in time for us to win out, miss the playoffs by 1 game, and
that's exactly what will happen.
We'll be really disappointed, but we'll end the season on high hopes because we'll be like, oh, we made some of the right changes, and we've got a head coaching hire to look forward to that they will inevitably fuck up, like they always do.
Yep, great point.
And we're gonna be delusional and try to convince ourselves, oh, we weren't even thinking about that guy, but
Shane Waldron.
Yeah, we're gonna bring Shane back.
So, on that note. Morgo, do you want to add anything?
No, I mean, a lot of good points. I think he covered a lot of the main points that I feel like I'm looking forward to in this San Francisco game here. I mean, in terms of looking into what we're going to do to fumble this head coaching hire opportunity, how we're going to continue to screw ourselves and remain to be the same team. So optimism is very high right now, and I can't wait to get fucked. So
yeah. Okay, so on that note, I think the best way to wrap this week's Bears recap is looking a little bit forward here toward potential head coaching candidates for next year, right? And our Bear Talk shared Google Doc, the bullet points for this are almost what you'd expect. They go 1, 2, 3, 5, a note about Colin Cowherd, and then like a couple spaces, and then I think something about Liam Cohen, and then way down at the bottom it just says Marcus Freeman. That's what you'd expect when looking at a list of potential Bears candidates. It's like, shit, we're in trouble, right?
This is probably better than what they have internally, honestly.
Yeah, no, it probably is. It probably is. But with that being said, at the top of that list is Cliff Kingsbury. So I think if we can all just start with worst case scenario, who you want to see least coaching this team next year. Mine's already at the top of that list. Cliff Kingsbury. I will cheer for another team next year. I will not cheer for this team. I will not watch the games if Cliff Kingsbury is the head coach of this football team next year. So you guys, do you have a worst possible candidate?
Before I say mine, I'm looking at a different article. This is WGN TV, so Chicago's news network.
Yeah.
According to bookies.com, Detroit, this is as of December 3rd, so yesterday. Okay. According to bookies.com, Detroit Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn is the early favorite to land the Bears head coaching gig. That would be my least favorite right there. We do not need another defensive head coach in this league. And at that, he's done a great job with the defense this year, especially with all the injuries that they have had. But you look at this Detroit defense the last couple of years, they were giving up a lot of points. Some say the most points they've ever seen. Okay. And so that would be at the top of my list of what I don't want to see. But to go on a little bit, Mike Vrabel is the next favorite on this list. Yeah. And then you've got Kellen Moore, Ben Johnson, Brian Flores. Another website, Flash Picks, has Joe Brady. Is it Joe Brady?
Yeah.
Joe Brady is the most likely candidate, and then Ben Johnson, then Thomas Brown, and then Bill Belichick. So, there's a lot of speculation right now. Yeah. And I don't really know how they're putting odds on this.
Yeah. I think the disparity in the two lists that you just mentioned speaks to your point about speculation. It's just someone or a sports book or an individual odds maker saying, here's who I think. It's like, here's who you think. It's probably really hard to get a read on who.
A lot of value out there, that being said. Spread it out,
Wargo. I wouldn't expect anything less. But yeah, I like what you mentioned, Jesse, about Aaron Glenn. I think going defensively, it's not the right move right now. Not with Caleb. And I like Vrabel. I don't necessarily dislike Aaron Glenn. I just don't know if a defensive-minded head coach is what is needed. I think someone who values what you already have at the quarterback position, not that a defensive coach can't value that. I think an offensive guy may just bring a different perspective to it and put it at the forefront, which it needs to be. I mean, it's the reality of this league. It's a quarterback-driven league. You got to have somebody that can communicate and understand these guys. And I think Caleb has shown plenty of potential, so you should be catering to that in this head coaching search. I like Vrabel. I do. But the only thing that I'm fearful of with a guy like Vrabel or Brian Flores, who I'd prefer both of them over Aaron Glenn, is Flores had an experience with Tua where news came out after that was all said and done that he didn't necessarily have the best relationship with Tua. And I'd seen some comments from him, kind of owning up to that after the fact. But if you've already proven to be sort of an ineffective communicator with a young quarterback, I just don't want that in your previous job descriptions, right? Like, I think I would.
We need quarterback whisperer to be in.
My number one choice.
Anything offensive.
My number one choice, and this goes without saying, and I think most people would probably agree with this right now, is Ben Johnson. And it's very obvious the success he's had in Detroit the last few years. I think Joe Brady could be interesting as well, the offensive coordinator for the Bills currently. But they've got to get this right. Otherwise, it's Arch Manning 2026. We're already heading down that path. So
they'll probably hire Lincoln Riley or some shit.
Again, I will be cheering for another team next year. He's on the same list as Cliff.
Yeah. I mean, for one, my coach that I would not like is Mike Vrabel for a few reasons. I think he'd intimidate the front office. That's already been shown through Ryan Poles and GM. Very emasculating meeting for him recently with Kevin Warren. So Mike Vrabel, I just see butting heads with front office and a lot of people that are trying to make decisions for the Bears that shouldn't be. So I feel like that would be a very contentious hire for a lot of reasons. But to the same points that you guys said, Aaron Glenn would also be a terrible hire. Ben Johnson just makes too much sense to me. Again, I think that we're really going to screw this one up. And I kind of wonder also if we do go the Ben Johnson route, like how much of an effect would it be if we, a lot of people are looking at the fact if we hire a defensive coach, right? And then we bring in an offensive coordinator that is specifically, calling plays, designing offensive schemes. If they're successful in Chicago, are we actually worried about them getting poached from other organizations to be head coaches elsewhere? Because I'm kind of fine with that. Like where we're currently at, like that's not an issue for me.
That would be sick because
right.
I don't think that's ever happened.
Right. And people are talking
that
about that
means
like they're
that
afraid of it
we're
happening.
going deep in the playoffs and they're doing some good things.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of where I leave it. I mean, I'm not really saying anything prolific in terms of like what we're looking at on the head coach hiring thing, but I just don't see that being an issue. Like you said, Jesse, that'd be awesome. So I would like to see that set up. So, if we do go that route with the defensive head coach, again, I wouldn't prefer that personally. But if we get that offensive coordinator in and they're just ripping play calls and things are working out and we're a well-oiled machine on offense, not an issue for me if he's gone the following year to go work somewhere else. Like that'd be fun. That'd be awesome. So, but we're going to screw this up, whatever happens. All right. Any closing thoughts? No? Bear down?
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Comment your head coaching hire pick below.
Yeah. Tell us who you'd like to see, and we'll tell you if we agree or if you're a moron. Like and subscribe.